Alright, I hope y'all learned something about this. Let's go deeper in the explanation of this elusive individual who just shows up with killing on his mind. How they're able to stay so elusive, how they're able to accomplish. We look at them when we listen to non-expert and we listen to conjecture and we listen to opinion of people who have never been in, who've never experienced extreme violence or any acts of violence. They're just narrating a scenario or what their own opinion is of the situation, how it occurred, and they're putting together. They're trying to be the first one to come up with true motive. There is no true motive to this. I'm going to compare an act of violence to a tornado, because there are things you have to understand how this works. Acts of violence, extreme acts of violence, you see, there are laws of nature, and there are things that are taking place that have to take place for a tornado to happen, as well as an extreme act of violence. It's a silly comparison, but for learning's sake, let's do this. There are ingredients that you have to have present. I think that's how you spell it. Ingredients that you have to have present. Then you have to have the mix of those ingredients just right. When you have a tornado, what you have to begin with, roughly, is about a 30,000 foot supercell thunderstorm. There's planet Earth, and this is a big giant supercell thunderstorm right here, 30,000 feet. Now there are laws. When you look at this supercell thunderstorm, a tornado doesn't just show up and pop out of the bottom of a cloud and destroys do all its damage and then pick back up. There are laws of nature, and those laws of nature are, firstly, there has to be hot air that rises. The hot air rises, the cool air is falling. As that hot air is going up, what it's doing is it's taking water droplets up with it. These water droplets are being pulled up, riding the hot air up. These water droplets enter what's called the jet stream. The jet stream. As these water droplets enter the jet stream, they freeze. They freeze up, become hail. Too heavy to travel upward now. They've frozen up. They've gathered and become big. They go up. They've frozen in the jet stream. Now what happens? Because of their weight, gravity's taking over, they begin to fall. As they fall, the millions and millions and billions of these little of hail that fall, as they begin to fall back down through here, and the shear element that's going on in the cloud, and the violent forces and the wind forces and all this is taking place in these laws of nature that had to take place, all of a sudden, because all this is going on, it begins to create a washing machine effect. As it creates that washing machine effect, the supercell begins to turn. It begins to turn. Suddenly you've got what's called a vortex. But the vortex just does not happen. There are laws at work. There are ingredients at work in this supercell cloud. There's the hail, there's the wind, there's the hot air rising, the cool air falling, there's the jet stream, there's the wind, the sheer winding in it, there's the vortex that's formed. Before you know it, all of a sudden, boom. What do you have? You've got a tornado. A tornado that has spawned. The strength of that tornado is dependent on what's going on in this thunderstorm, in this supercell thunderstorm. So it is with people, and people of violence, and people that do extreme acts of violence. In every individual's life, in your life, in my life, there are ingredients, both for good and for bad. Ingredients for good and for bad. Some of those good ingredients are loving parents, loving the house, loving parents, loving household, growing up, loving siblings, normal life somewhat, good schools, good things like that. These are just ingredients that are in these individuals' lives. All of us are mixing bowls, our bowls. Every human being is a bowl. In that bowl is placed from birth on up is placed ingredients. Ingredients being good homes, good loving, caring parents, bad situations, poverty, affluency, whatever it is. These are all these ingredients are just ingredients that are all added into the life of these human beings. You, me, the killers. Now, in this ingredients, in this supercell thunderstorm that is able to produce this tornado, it's not just a bunch of ingredients that are thrown together. This is where we're having trouble by isolating and locating. We're trying to find motive and profile these guys, but it's nearly impossible. Why? Because we all have such similar ingredients. Every killer shares a lot of similarities, but every killer is so different, like a snowflake. And so you have the same effect that you have with this supercell thunderstorm. If the ingredients are present, you have to throw in the mix. You have to have the right amount of mixing together of these ingredients. Just like a cookie recipe. Too much of any one ingredient and it doesn't work. Too much of any or not enough of one ingredient in the supercell, you're not going to produce the tornado. You're not going to have the results. And so it is with killers. You have a lot of ingredients, some for good, some for bad. But it's not just about the ingredients. It is about the mix of these ingredients in individuals' lives. Many of you, myself, we have the same ingredients as these killers. But we're not going out killing everybody because we're upset or whatever. Because these ingredients that are in these individuals' lives, it is the mix of these ingredients that causes many of them to flip out. I mean, in all sincerity today, if you flipped out today and killed 10 people, how much of your life is a mystery and how much of your life is an open book that the talking heads could really just dissect and babble on and say, oh, this is where, this is why, that happened. No, there's that file cabinet again we talked about in our lives. In that file cabinet is the public files and the private files. The public files, school, upbringing, jobs, friendship, relationship, marriage. The bad files, prison, jail, broken heart, little weirdness, strange dysfunction in the family, things that are hidden away. Now, you can have all these ingredients, but until you understand the mixing of these ingredients, you never fully understand the complexity of what it takes to spawn a tornado, what it takes to commit a violent act. You look in your own life and you say, oh Lord, there's no way I would ever commit an act of violence. Be careful. You can look back through your own life and see your own acts of violence you've committed. Maybe not to the point of killing or shooting up a school, but you've had violence. You've had outbursts of violence in your life. Even if it's just a small minute, but still the violence is there. You've learned to control it and get a hold of it. Some of these guys, they don't. Some of these killers were misfits from the beginning. The ingredients that were in their life involved dysfunctional families, dysfunctional weirdness. They were weird, so they were just left alone at an early age. And then, you know, because people say, well, we should look for the weird one. Please. Every teenager in America is weird. How do you explain weirdness in America? Everybody's weird and strange and different. And everybody's left alone, and privacy is encouraged, and privacy is enforced. Because that's just how we are in America. All these ingredients, good ingredients, bad ingredients, they're all getting mixed together. And as they get mixed together, this is what happens. If they're mixed just right, a vortex forms. You mix it just right in the life of somebody that's had an idea to kill and then a seed planted in there to kill. You mix it just right, they end up killing. They end up committing and going out and they kill. And they kill. Tornadoes are devastating acts of nature, but they do not just roll along. Not every cloud that comes along is tornado packed, has the capacity for. You have to have the right ingredients in that cloud for it to produce a tornado. And you not only have to have the right ingredients in it to produce a tornado, you have to have the right mix. So it is with acts of violence. All of us have these ingredients in our life. Good ingredients, bad ingredients, dysfunctional families, upbringing, failed marriages, prison, jail, maybe, molestation, maybe just a difficult childhood, a certain degree of weirdness, a certain degree of strangeness, unacceptance, rejection, clumsy. No matter what the ingredients are, we all have a degree of these ingredients present within our own mixing bowl, our own bowl called the human life. But it's the mix. How do you mix these ingredients? You know the kings you've met. You know the queens you've met. You know the fools you've met. You know the $1 million deals and the bottom of the barrel deals. You know where you've been. You know what drunkenness has done in your life, drugs. You know the things that you're hiding, the things that you don't want the whole world that are put into the private file. These are things. And so when a killer comes on scene and does it dastardly and then is killed, and we dissect the good files, the files where the public files we're allowed to see as a people, the ones that are open to everybody, his upbringing, his schooling, his this, his that, stuff that's already right there able to, and we look at it and we say, oh, well, that's not any reason to kill, but you don't know the whole list. Not every ingredient that you're able to see and dissect is on the file, the public file. And besides that, you don't know how it mixed. You just don't know how it mixed to produce that killing spree. You look at your own life. We're trying to get into a complicated mind of a human mind. You look at your own life, the complexities that are going on in your own mind. How in the name of the creator of the universe are you able to even think about figuring out somebody else's situation when we can't even figure out our own plight, That's how complicated this is. We want so bad to be able to profile these guys and to be able to say, well, if they're doing this, and this, then we need to keep an eye out for them. Hasn't worked. 30 years since Columbine, hasn't worked. We haven't been able to put enough intelligence together to really, really, in all honesty, stop another killer. So are we just a hopeless nation? Got to be at the whim of everybody that decides to kill and go out and kill en masse or kill a crowd? No. There is a solution, and it's a solution that is feasible. It's a solution that's already out there. But it's a solution that a lot of you aren't going to like. But it's the only one that will really work at this moment in time, because I'm going to have to go deep into myself and explain to you the darkness of these fellas once they commit. Once they sever that moral code and that moral fiber, and they commit their resources, and they commit their lives, and they commit their future and their destiny to pursue this act of violence. And they begin to mix together these ingredients, and they produce this tornado. This destructive tornado, because this is what happens when that act of violence comes out of the cloud and begins to kill, and kills in that school or kills in that workforce. Once it's done, that tornado just picks right back up into the cloud, disappears, and moves right on. And all we see is the aftermath. All we're left with is the wake. All we're left with is the destruction, the devastation, the murder, the killing. And we can't figure it out for nothing. How did that happen? We all scratch our heads. You ever seen the victims of a tornado after the tornado has moved down? You know what's the one thing they say as they're being dug out of the rubble of their collapsed homes and collapsed trailers, and they're just sitting there and they're just in a stupor, and they're staggering around and mud all over them, and what's the first thing they say to the camera? Then people say, "Are you okay?" They say, "Man, I just never thought it would happen here. I just never thought that would. I've been around tornadoes my whole life. We live in Tornado Alley here in Oklahoma. I just never thought it." You better start believing. You better start believing what's amongst us and moving amongst us. Not every cloud that moves over America and moves over cities, not every 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 foot supercell thunderstorm cloud that moves over America, not everyone spawns a tornado. But I'm told by weather experts and Doppler experts that many of them move over us with the ingredients and the mix taking place. This rotation in the cloud, it just hasn't demonstrated itself to the ground, and that's when the damage occurs. There are many, many violent people, many people of murder that are in there rotating around us. We just don't know how close sometimes we come when these clouds move over us, when these supercell storms move over our house and over our city. Although they don't touch down, they are still moving dangerously over. So it is with people of violence and people that are intent on murdering. They're swirling all around us. We just don't know how bad the waters are infested that we live and swim in every day. Every day I leave my house, I'm prepared to meet somebody that's ready to flip out and commit an act of violence. In Walmart, in Kmart, at the gas station, at the doctor's office. Why? Why would I even be on such suspicion? Why? Because every time I turn the news on at night, which I try not to, it's there. Sometimes missing me only by 30 minutes. Sometimes the tornadoes only miss. I live in Georgia. It's Tornado Alley. Sometimes the tornadoes move right over my house. Sometimes they move so close you can almost just feel them. You can hear them. But they never touch down. So it is with violent people and people that are intent on killing and committing violence. They're moving all around us. You hear it every time the news is turned on. You hear about violence and people with violence. They've struck here, they've struck there. Oh my God, that's only 7 miles from my house. Oh my God, that's only just a certain number of miles. That's just in the city of Atlanta. That's just here, that's just there. When T.J. Solomon went to Heritage High School and shot up Heritage High School and then surrendered his guns to a teacher, he did it, I believe it was the 1 month anniversary of Columbine. I lived on a street called Nugget Drive. If you were to come out of it was a cul-de-sac. You came out at the end of Nugget Drive and crossed Highway 138. When you left out of my street and drove across Highway 138, you drove right into the parking lot of Heritage High. That was the school that T.J. Solomon went to and shot up on the 1 month anniversary of Columbine. Now suddenly, instead of having a shooter somewhere in Littleton, Colorado, on the other side of the world, at a place I've never even heard of, now all of a sudden I have a shooter at the end of the street at the high school my son is planning to go to in a few years. Now suddenly it's closer to home. So it is with this. We just don't know how close we are to these people, to these guys, to these situations, to these explosive situations that are about to blow up. We just don't know. We don't have a clue. So it's best to be prepared. Years ago, I wrote a parent's guide to teaching your children what to do in case a school shooter shows up. I sent it out to like 400 copies of it, out to 400 news editors, newspaper editors around the country. Just mass send out. Not one response. Not one response did I get. Nobody was interested. They weren't interested. Because you know why? Because their kids weren't being killed. This is hitting home. This is not only hitting home, it's here. I started heralding and hollering this 10 years ago. I was a tornado alarm. I was a tornado siren, hollering about the dangers of people that were intent on killing. I was hollering, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming. Well, I got some news for you. Here's a news flash. They're not coming anymore. They're here. They're here. They're here. You can go into a crowd of 300 people, and I'll tell you, 13 of them in that crowd of 300 people are thinking about killing, thinking about murder. And before the end of the year, 2 of them will have murdered, and before the end of the decade, 10 of them will have committed murder. That's just my own personal statistics. And I got... Somebody better listen to that siren. When you hear that siren, that tornado siren, that means the conditions are right. A tornado watch means the conditions are right in the atmosphere for a tornado. The conditions are right, the mix is right, the ingredients are right. When you hear the tornado warning, that means, and you hear the sirens, that means a tornado is spinning on the ground somewhere. You better take cover. You better get prepared. You better have a safety plan. You better have a place to go that will get you out of harm's way. So it is with school shooters, office shooters, anybody that shows up to a crowd of 30 plus in America to open fire. You better have an escape plan. You better know how to run for your life. There's no shame in running for your life. The kids that ran are the kids that lived. I say that with love and humility. I'm not trying to sound cold or heartless. I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I'm doing this for the kids. I'm not doing this for adults. I could stop today and go catch the Jesus bus. I've had a full life. It would be a relief in a lot of ways. Open heart surgery, back surgery, brain surgery. These supercell thunderstorms of mayhem and murder are moving over us right now, over our houses, every day of our life in America. The siren, I'm a siren. The sirens are hollering. Take cover, take cover. Conditions are right. Killer warning, they're in the area. Conditions are right. They're moving over us, they're moving around us. Conditions are right. For one to pop up, show up. You could lose your life at a four-way stop sign because somebody didn't know who had the right of way. You pulled up, all of a sudden it just got hot. Nobody was, the next thing you knew, there were cars blocking cars, the guns came out, next thing you know, you're dead at a four-way stop sign. Or somebody else is dead at a four-way stop sign. You can go to Walmart to get milk and be dead. You don't have to be at an ATM at 2 o'clock in the morning in a seedy part of town to get killed. You can get killed backing out of your driveway. You can get killed by the mailman if he had a bad day. Of course, I'm not saying the mailman. I'm just saying, you know the fill in the blanks. Better be on your toes. You need to be on your toes. You need to understand that there's a mix involved. We're all possessing the ingredients. So that means everyone's suspect to a degree. It's the mix of those ingredients. How are they mixing in people's lives? How do you spot the mixing of those ingredients in people's lives? kids that are weird are they? You can't just pick out every weird kid because every kid in America is weird. Every house in America's got some form of dysfunction in it. Every house in America's got that one person in it that looks like they could kill. Be on your toes. The sirens are waiting. Mix ingredients. We're not going to ever be able to profile these guys. Not like we want to. Not to the point where Quantico can say, this is what we're looking for, A, B, C, D. And then boom, all of a sudden we're arresting. You just don't have a clue. I have a clue. I know who I look for. That's why I fortified my house. I've got cameras, dogs, fences, warning signs. You come to my house with evil intention, I'm going to kill you. You come to my house with intention, you cross all those lines of defense that I had. You get past my cameras, my fence, my dogs, and you come to my house uninvited, I'm going to kill you. And I can't even legally own a gun, so I'm going to have to kill you with my hands and a bunch of knives. Or a dull machete, but I'll do something. You're going to kill me or I'm going to kill you, but it's going to be a confrontation. I ain't going out like that. You know why? Because I know they're here. They're not coming anymore. I said 10 years ago, I said they're coming. They're here. They're here now, and they're determined. They're pissed off. They don't really know why. There's something that's taking place. It's mixing up a bunch of ingredients, maybe from a troubled childhood, maybe from a broken relationship, maybe from somebody who got the promotion. You just don't never know. But I can guarantee you these ingredients, there's enough in there that you put them all together in the right situation. You get the mix just right, you're going to have a tornado. Alright, that's enough for now. I'm probably going to take a break for this, and we'll get some more going. I hope somebody's learning something. It's about to get graphic, because I'm going to have to really, this is just foundational stuff. This is just laying the foundation. This is on this side of the coin. This is on the side of the coin right here. This is on the side of the coin called light. This is the side of the coin called light, where most of us live and move and operate. It's going to get a little bit gruesome and it's going to get graphic. I'm not going to get crazy, but I have to explain some things to take you to the other side of the coin, into the mind of someone that's able to inflict and do what they do without conscience or forethought, without any kind of moral fiber or moral commitment or moral obligation to not do it. And it's going to be some deep teaching. Hopefully by the end of it we'll have a greater understanding. Now, we're not ever going to be able to locate these guys. Get that out of your mind. I'm not going to teach you how to locate shooters. We can go out into a crowd of 1,000 and every one of them will have something weird about them that will make us think, hey, maybe that's the one. There's no way to accurately do this. We have the advantage of Doppler radar with these. We haven't created a Doppler radar though for murder and murderers and people of ill intention. But there is a way to filter it out. There's a way that we can look for certain individual things and filter it. I'm not going to get too far ahead of that right now. There is a way to protect yourself and prepare yourself and your family and your schools and everything and harden the targets where these guys will go. Until we make it unattractive for someone to pop up and kill a crowd or shoot into a crowd of 30 people. Until we make it where that's unattractive to killers, they're going to keep killing. They're going to keep showing up, especially when the crowd, they're after the numbers. They're going to keep popping up and shooting up. And the reason being is because they know it's easy to do. It's easy to do. But you harden that target. You harden that target and you make it where it might cost him his life to show up and do that. And I promise you, because these guys are cowards, most of them have never been shot at. I've been shot at several times, and it wasn't always by the police. It changed. It's a game changer for me. And I don't even own a gun legally. I know what it's like to be shot at, and not always by the police. It is a game changer. You don't even have to be a good shot. He shows up in the school and pop, Mr. Steele, the biology teacher, he bam, puts one in the wall or puts one in the ceiling. That killer hears that. It changes everything. It slows the body count right then, because the first thing you can do is take cover. Why? Because nobody wants to get shot at. Nobody wants to get shot. And especially a killer who's going there to kill doesn't want to get killed right at the start of his killing spree. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take a break, drink some coffee, and maybe I'll pick it up again today. If not, I'll put some more together. I'm about to take you into some deep water, into the mind of the truly insane ones, into the mind of the Klebolds and the Harrises and the Chos, the Paddocks. Because there's a side of There's a side of the mental capacity of a human mind that you need to understand. And the experts that are out there lulling us back to sleep on all the major news stations, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. They really don't. There's a guy standing on the shoreline, and God bless him, whatever it takes. I know there are true men out there that have committed their life to become learned men on these subjects, and I applaud them. I say whatever it takes to solve this, but I'm going to take us a little bit deeper. I'm going to have to hold your hand when I do it, because we're going into some places. I'm not proud that I've been there, but I need to take you by the hand and take you to these places and let you see how these people think. There comes a point when they step across that line in the sand of their mind, and once they do that, it's a different world. They enter into a place it's like waterless places in the Bible. It's a place without rest, where the unclean go, and the place of the serpent and the scorpion. And that's where I have to take you for you to understand this. I'm not saying we're going to have a Bible study. I'm going to take you into the mind of these people that are doing this and able to do this without any kind of conscience. Be able to murder 7- and 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and not even blink their eyes. All right, that's enough for now.